Go down in the 10 days yard. You see so much different race, so much different people line up with the ID card. Or visit my village called Alfaro, where they get no water for years. So much different race, so much different color, with a bucket sit down shedding tears. Now tell the racists, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear what we let food coming from. Visit the General Hospital, and I know that you would be shocked to see so much different race of people line up waiting on one dock, or pay a visit to the AIDS ward, where they find no cure as yet. People don't know the race, yeah, remember the color. All they know is that they're facing death. Now tell the racists, sufferers don't care about what? Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. What? Sufferers don't care who from country. What? Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear where that food coming from. A racist is someone who has something that they want to protect. So they will always keep on talking the race talk till the day of the death. But poor people, we have nothing. Don't know where the next meal coming from. So I want you to go and to tell all them races, suffering makes us one. Tell the racists, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care about race. No, sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Tell the racists, sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear what? When the next food coming. One more. Sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who might
Pleasant good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago, and to the people of the Northeastern Settlement area. I am Candace Edwards, and we all are here. We have a gathering. People now start coming. So I urge the people of Northeastern Settlement to come out. Come out and let your voice be heard. Come out and speak with us. Let us know what you have been going through time and time again over the years. We are the voices for change. And together we stand, divided we fall. So I urge you guys to come out and stand with us. Let us make a statement. Let us tell the government of the day, enough is enough. We are tired. We are fed up. We're fed up seeing our children blood running on the streets. We are tired of seeing people can't afford to buy food to feed their families. We are so tired and we are so fed up, and now is the time to push back. So I urge you guys to come out this afternoon. Come out, the mic is going to be open so that you can tell us, not just only us, you can say to the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, I am whatever name and I am making a stand today. We are going to push back. Enough is enough. We are fed up. We are tired of those politicians only coming when it's election time and promising us ham, lamb, and jam. And after election, you're not seeing them. We are tired and we are fed up of this kind of treatment. We are not dogs. We are human beings. And if we, the older folks, don't stand up and try to put things in place for our younger generations, what will become of them? We cannot do like what our Prime Minister would have said, who live, live, and who dead, dead. We cannot do that. You understand me? This government clearly showing to we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, that they do not care about us. They definitely do not care. So don't wait until night time to get flambeau to see. You're seeing it all now. And as I said before, when the politicians come in your neighborhood, whether UNC, whether PNM, we ought to ask them questions because we are their employers. Do you know how powerful and mighty we are if we stand together as one? We are their employers. They have to come to us for employment for another 5 years, but they can't get it just like that. They have to tell us the plans going forward. They have to show us. And we have to hold them accountable. So I urge you guys to come out and join us on Road 4, Northeastern Settlement, Cedarwood Drive, right by the corner by the bridge. So we are looking forward to see you here. We have a gathering. People now start to come in, you know, and we just waiting. Well, you know, Trinidadian time, we tell them a certain time, but we live in Trinidad and we have patience. If we could take the bullshit that this PNM government would have given to us for 10 years, we have patience. But we have to make a difference. We have to make a change. And the change starts now with each and every one of us, you and I. The change has to start with somewhere, someday, sometime. And we are saying here today, enough is enough. So come down and let your voice be heard.
Testing, testing. All residents, Road 4 and surrounding, please let us see your face. Please tune in. Information that is critically important to yourself, your children, family, your neighbors, and the community at large. We are looking to start the kind of conversation needed to give you a voice, to get your voice heard and registered on the things that is needed to change your circumstance in this community. So we are right here at the corner of Road 4 and what street? Cedarwood Drive. The corner of Road 4 and Cedarwood Drive. We will be starting a conversation. Come, let us hear from you. Let us hear some of the things that you are concerned about in developing your community so that we can keep this on record as we continue to look for ways to improve the lives and livelihood of persons in this community. See you guys soon. Okay, thank you.
Bluetooth is connected.
Who migrate from where, or who living in who place? Sufferers don't care who from country, sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to know where the next food coming from. That's one for all them racists. That's one for the racists. Anytime you bounce up a racist and you hear them running them out, it have a whole set of people don't care what they're talking about. A racist is someone living happy and all their family doing well. So race talk is really not for people in the ghetto catching hell. Now tell the racists, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear where the next food coming from. Get up early next morning, go down in the 10 days yard. You see so much different race, so much different people line up with the ID card. Or visit my village called Talparo, where they get no water for years. So much different race.
Of course, we are in the Sangre Grande area where there's a big live that is taking place right here, right now. People just setting up, people is coming in their numbers. If you see people here this evening, people like that, because the change is imminent. You see people just fed up at what taking place. Now, as I would have said, we are in this Sangre Grande area here where many of you might know where this place is, but we would have done some extensive drone footage as to show you around the area of Sangre Grande. As I say, if you see people here, that thing that would have taken place with Candace and Roger Monroe in this area here, but the people fed up at what taking place up here. This is Northeastern Settlement, the area. That is just a little drone footage. There are people all out in the road. This is the street that we are actually on, a matter of fact. We are actually on this street right now. And the situation here is deplorable for a place like Sangre Grande, in which Roger Monroe keep on boasting about. Everybody boasting about this area, but are they actually helping people within the area and within the constituency? Because look at the pool. We would have been highlighting the issue with the pool within this area. A pool that ever since it closed down, and just looking at the news, Marvin Gonzalez would have been talking about this water racket. That is a mark that we are going to bust here. So again, right here, people, it have music, people setting up. So this is what is taking place exactly within the area. As I said, real people are here this afternoon. They're fed up at what's taking place. And we are calling on you, the members of the public that are seeing and is looking on, that not taking the type of nonsense that is going on within your area. This is a voice for change, the voice of change movement, a matter of fact. Candace would have started off this within our area because of the amount of people that is showing up on our doorstep on a daily basis concerning the neglect within this area. So again, this year, there's a drone footage of the area in question that we are talking about. I don't know why this man would have been asking for this drone footage, but I really don't know. So this year is where we are at this point in time. Area and the place that we are talking about actually is the Northeastern Settlement. Let me see if I can pop this on big screen. Right, so we are here. So who forget to come out, come out, come out. There's an area in the back here that is actually talking about no current, no lights in the back. That is the place that we are seeing right before the extension. Look at it. No water, no lights, no jobs. And people boasting about this area. Boy, they're good, yes? They're good. That is the Northeastern Settlement. So we urge the many of you that are joining us here right now, share the live, share the live, share the live, share the live. A massive showdown is going on take place here this afternoon. Share the live, people. Who don't know, my name is Renison Jeffrey. This is the Workers' Rights Platform. And bear with us here. Bear with us. Sufferers. So who come on late, share the live. We are in the Sangre Grande area. We have an open microphone where you will see the amount of contribution that people are giving. Candace, share the live now, man. Share the live, share the live. Share the live, share the live. Well, I don't tell them the Candace to share the live. I know what's going on here. So the amount of you that could not have come, this is what is taking place here within the area when we would have turned on. But we are going to turn the camera on the next side. Right. So the many of you that are outside, I know I was here now, I could in. Right. So we fix that. So the many of you that are joining us now, we had something actually prepared for you to see. Let me just get that tape here. As I say, we're going to bust that mark sometime after this thing. So this is the pool here in the Sangre Grande area that we are talking about. them men and them brave to talk about pool up here.
This is a dead frog. This is the Minister of Sport and Community Development, Mrs. Shamfa Kujo Lewis. This is the Member of Parliament for Toko Sangre Grande, Roger Monroe. You may be wondering, what do these three entities have in common? The answer is the neglect for over 3 years of the community swimming pool in Sangre Grande. Numerous attempts to have this pool maintained and returned to active use for the constituents of Sangre Grande have fallen on deaf ears. It has gotten so bad, Minister Kujo Lewis is jokingly referred to as the Minister of Sport and Community Destruction. Despite all of this, several staff members are being paid to come to work even though no one can use the pool. If they can provide funds to pay staff to watch over an abandoned pool, they surely can pay to have it restored so members of the community and their children can use it. If you try to call the Sangre Grande community pool, you'll be unsuccessful because the phone hasn't been working for several years either. Look at this facility. It speaks volumes about the wanton neglect and mismanagement of all public services which are characteristic of the governments in Trinidad and Tobago. If Member of Parliament Roger Monroe and his government don't want to lose more than just the Sangre Grande council seat in the upcoming general election, I would like to humbly suggest both he and the Honorable Minister, Mrs. Kujo Lewis, rectify this situation.
Now, so the many of you that are outside it, or you could see the picture in which we are trying to paint here. So when Candace Edwards would have made a comment known on social media, when she would have asked the MP for the area, Roger Monroe, as to what is taking place within this area, and he would have walked off on her, is something that he is accustomed doing to the people within this area. Because not only her alone have been asking, hey, Roger, in this area here, I mean, it's total neglect. I know it's disrespectful to come to ask people for the vote when election time come, and what he do, he shows no concern. Because at the end of the day, in certain areas, it was said in Point 14 and Library, you could put a crapper within a tie, and this is the type of things that the ministers and them expect. They expect this blind loyalty. As I would have heard from a partner of mine the other day, we was discussing. One, these politicians and them are beggars. They are not begging for bread in a day, are begging for the bakery. And at the end of the day, they are trying to let you, or trying to convince you that they don't need you, the individual. But they are depending on your vote nevertheless, and they are making things hard for us on a daily basis. And we have to ask ourselves the question, why we still putting them back in that position? Why? That is a serious problem. So the many of you that are looking on, that are now looking on, or you would have known about Candace Edwards, where she would have been, where she would have pulled up the MP socks, and he turn it back and he walk off. So we're going for those footage here today so you can see. Right. So what here with Candace and Roger. So we go down and play this here again while we wait for to start the regular scheduled broadcast here this afternoon.
If you don't mind, I get a video of this. I want to speak to my MP. So I want to know what plans you have for northeastern settlement and environment.
Roger has been discussing.
No, I'm listening. I'm going to just direct this conversation to he. And you are Mr. Stuart Young. Okay, all right. I want to talk to him for myself. Now, as you know, listen to me, hear me. As you know, we have a lot of youths in the back here, delinquent youths are asking questions. Why are you running off? We're asking questions. I am asking questions. I have a lot of delinquent youths. Why am I supposed to put my hand in red for the body say? Stuart Young pull him away. I ask him questions. If all you want my vote, all you have to show me why I supposed to vote for the PNM. Why I supposed to vote for the PNM? I want to know why. So I tried to ask Mr. Monroe some questions, and Mr. Stuart Young would have pulled him away because they're shying from the questions. And the questions I would have asked, what they have in store for the youths of Northeastern Settlement and environs, and the fact that they could shy away from me is because they're on folly, they're on shits.
So right now we are in the Northeastern Settlement, and what you would have just seen there is we right in the same place that Stuart Young would have pulled away Roger Monroe, or signal to him to forget about Chida. That is just one vote. Because at the end of the day, instead of addressing the issues, what the MP for this area, Roger Monroe, would have decided to do was to turn his back, just how we would have turned his back on the swimming pool, just how we would have turned his back on the people within the extension, the Northeastern Settlement extension, where it have no lights, no current, no water. And we would have had footage from a place that is out the road where a young lady trying very hard to make ends meet. And again, you know, we are here on the ground lobbying. So the many of you that are here, that are joining us here on the live, share the live, share the live, share the live. We are in the Northeastern Settlement where you are going to hear a lot of contributions from the people that are here. They are waiting, they're vexed, they're angry. They want to talk about what is taking place within the area. They see the narrative that they are painting on 91.9 all over the place, all on radio station. We are telling you today that is not what is taking place on the ground in Sangre Grande. The people are changing. They are turning. They are turning their backs on what is taking place here because, hey, the talk about Roger, his name not nice outside here. Or you know about the situation in which he would have had in court concerning a family member and a house, which was the barber shop, that little blue house there. We are all of that, and we are going to share these things with you. When Marvin Gonzalez would have come the other day to try to obfuscate an issue, a racket that is taking place within Sangre Grande, did he ask if any of his colleagues from within this area have been involved in that racket? This water racket, not a lock off in, but a full of pool. So, just to keep in sync with the issue, we are coming here and talking about the any babies and things that in the background. There are many people that are outside, they down to the babies and all.
They are councillors, elected councillors, sent by the people of Komuto Manzanilla and Sangre Grande to represent their interests. They have interests in trucks.
Public Utilities Minister Marvin Gonzalez alluded to a water trucking racket in the Sangre Grande area involving high-level officials in the area's corporation, noting that water is being withheld maliciously.
They own businesses, own these trucks, and ensuring, unfortunately, with the assistance of some people within the authority, that you turn off the valve, you ensure that pressure is not given to a particular area where you force people to purchase water.
Minister Gonzalez confirmed that an active investigation is currently ongoing into the matter.
And so I expect that the outcome of it would result in action being taken against those persons who are culpable in engaging in this unfortunate practice of illegal water trucking in the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation.
He also noted that the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government is also involved in the issue.
Evidence will pass to them. The anti-corruption unit, I'm told, of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is also working on information that was passed to them to investigate the information that was passed with respect to the illegal water trucking in the Sangre Grande Corporation. So the ministry is doing it from an administrative perspective, and the TTPS is doing it from a criminal investigation perspective.
Minister Gonzalez was speaking to reporters at a sod-tinning ceremony for the construction of the Guanapo and North Urupuch water treatment plants on Wednesday. Sonolala, TTT News.
So, to the many of you that are here, that are joining us live on the stream, now, you see Marvin Gonzalez would have spoke with conviction. And the conviction that Marvin Gonzalez is speaking about, that there are members within this area here that is in a water racket. Now, we would have received information concerning a valve in Danbury Hill, right outside our minister place. So the question lies here, Marvin. Have you ever questioned any involvement in which any member, any colleague of yours, have you ever considered, a matter of fact, that anyone in your colleague is involved in that same racket that they are speaking about? That is a very important question. So as again, we are outside in Road 4, where we are waiting for the people here to start. We're going to start a meeting. The meeting is already here, but the guest speaker not here as well. Candice is the opening guest speaker, but as I said, there are many people waiting here. The fed up of what is taking place, the vets. So you could tune in and see the many contributions that is going to take place here on this platform. So Marvin, reach out to your partner, ask him if he involved. Trust me. You ain't worry about that, Mark, because I know many of you trying to obfuscate the issue. Right now we are here in the northeastern settlement area. I'll take down this bar here so you go see the whole thing clearly. This is our drone footage. That community you are seeing right behind you, they have been left behind. No water, no lights. As a matter of fact, when you're coming out of that road there in the back there, you have to wear 2 shoes or 2 slippers. You're coming out with one and you're changing the next one when you come out. You may see people outside in the road just waiting. At the end of the day, it's hope. It's hope. This is what this message is about, bringing hope back to the people. Because the present MP, they ain't no hope in them. If you see the children, yeah, children, and there are many people outside here. Wow, 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 wow. Huh. Who migrate from where? The amount of people that is outside here, it is overwhelming. Right, so it was indicated to me that in 5 minutes time, the live, everything going on start, and we will have our main presenter going on started within the next 5 minutes. So tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in, share the live, share the live, share the live, share the live.
who living in who pay. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town.
Sufferers only want to know
where the next food coming from.
This one for all them racists. This one for the racists. Anytime you bounce up a racist and you hear them running them out, it have a whole set of people don't care what they talking about. A racist is someone living happy and all their family doing well. So race talk is really not for people in the ghetto catching hell. Now tell the racists, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear where their food coming from. Get up early next morning, go down in the 10 days yard. You see so much different race, so much different people line up with the ID card. Or visit my village called Talparo, where they get no water for years. So much different race, so much different color, with a bucket sit down shedding tears. Now tell the racists, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear what with their food coming from. Visit the General Hospital, and I know that you would be shocked to see so much different race of people line up waiting on one doc, or pay a visit to the AIDS ward where they find no cure as yet. People don't know the race, yeah, remember the color. All they know is that they're facing death. Now tell the racists, sufferers don't care about what? Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. What? Sufferers don't care who from country. What? Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only
nothing. Don't know where the next meal coming from. So I want you to go and to tell all them racists, suffering makes us one. Tell the racists, sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care about race. No, sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Tell the racists, sufferers don't care who's from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear what the next food coming. One more. Sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Tell the racists, sufferers don't care who's from country. They don't care who from town. Sufferers don't care who's from town. Sufferers only want to know. Love you. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care from country. Sufferers don't care who's from town. Sufferers only want to tell them when the next food coming from.
Listen, when you look on a bandstand and you see people like Boko, Corby, Benji, and you see people like Pato, and you find out that our musical director happens to be Mr. Errol Lynch, I think we got nothing but the best. Would you give the band a round of applause? Would you give the band a round of applause? Would you give the band a round? And 4 beautiful sisters doing some beautiful chorus work for us. We call them the Review Angels. Give them a round of applause. Give them a round. Listen, you know it's my biggest problem? My biggest problem is my fans and them. Last year they come knocking down my door. Black Stallion, Black Stallion. I said, well, what happened? They said, listen this. You know all them other singers to sit down and write a little smut now and then. You mean you can't write one for we? I said, all right. I can write the smut for them. I sit down, I take up my pen, and I take up my paper. I start to write my smut. Play the thing, play. 1983, my fans beg for a favor. I decide to help them, so I write this soca. Last year they come back with a different story. They say they want something smutty about Gino Dorothy. Now on my fans, I know your future depend. So I sit down to write this smut only to please them. But as I take up my pen and my piece of paper, and I write out the first verse, listen what I remember. Oil money come, oil money go.
Strain and pressure
Remain
under this
ghetto.
And I'm saying to you all tonight, it all have to end someday, sometime. Because we cannot continue to live our life under pain, strife, and stress. We have to press on. We have to come together as a community, as a team, and put our foot down and say enough is enough. We had to bury our children. Some of us had to go hungry without food. Whilst this government that we put in power, eating ham, lamb, and jam and living comfortable lives off of the backs of the citizens. That's you and I. And as I always say on my program, all of us here are their employers. They are seeking employment from us. And now is the time we call in the shots. We are the ones that call in the shots from now, because we cannot leave it up to them, because there's time and time again, this government is showing us, the people, that they are very incompetent. Because if you have a prime minister would look you and I in the faces and say, who live, and who dead, that is a prime minister that's showing you and I that he doesn't care about us. And I'm sure most of you here can agree with me. Our lives matter. We need to be able to function, to take care of our families. All the people, the simple things like food, some of us cannot even buy in the groceries. Groceries going up every day. Transportation going up. Everything going up. Books. Some of us can't even afford to buy books to send our children to school. So are they going to sit down and take that? Or are you willing to sit down and take that for another 5 years? Enough is enough. They're telling us tighten our belt. How long have you been tightening your belt? It's 10 years now and out, so that belt reaching the last hoop. So now is the time we have to stand up for change. And as I said before, this is not about party, you know. This is about the people. You and I. You getting it? Yes. 1, 2. Nice. I'm all big. This is about you and I, the people. And if we do not make a stand now, because you see now, it's election time, they're coming wrong. And they want to hug up the young ones, kiss the young ones. But where were they for the past 10 years? Where were they when the drains flooding? Where were they? Where they was? The amount of youths that have in the back in Northeastern settlement that do not have a job. They're looking for employment and they cannot get. They're going to the councillors, they're going to the MPs and whoever, and they're turning a blind eye on them, they're turning their back. But what they fail to realize, we are their employers, and now is the time we have to suck it to them. Now, I made a lot of enemies the other day on the street here, you know. I went to ask a question. The reason for asking that question, is because I saw firsthand what taking place in the back here. And the simple question was, sir, what you have in place for the youths of Northeastern settlement? And they walked off. They walked off on me like if I was nobody. Me, who is one of their employers. So that clearly shows they don't have no respect for you and I. But they're coming again with their rum and their roti and their big music and they're dancing and they're having a time to bamboos we head. So we are saying no more. So Mr. Alonso and myself and the other teams, we decide to come up to organize a group, right? So that we can let our voices be heard, the voices for change. We want change in our community. We want change in Sangre Grande. And it takes each and every one of us to stand together for that change to come about. We're not doing this with violence. We're putting our foot down because enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Let me hear you guys say,
enough
is enough. How much time you had to open your cupboard? I ain't putting your business out there. I want you to watch your cupboard, the grocery still. How much time you ain't have enough money to send all your children to school at one time? It have some houses people have to send their children to school in turns. You can't even afford to buy books. Long time you can reuse the books. Not again. And when you go to the schools, the teachers not even in front of the school. And the books and them, they're brand new at the end of the term. It's always some strategy they're coming with to keep the poor man under a certain level. That is why the Prime Minister turned and he said the rich had to get for the potter. So who dead and make he king? You understand? Now, he retired off into the sunset. He would have raised his salary. He told public servants, imagine that, we cannot get a raise in salary because if we do, some of us will have to go home. Okay, we take that, but we did not accept the 4%. But at the end of the day, look at what they did to their salary. One minister working for 87 or 80-something thousand dollars a month, and the back pay, one hefty, dripping, juicy back pay. And whose money you think is that? My money and your money. So while they're starving us, and we going hungry, they, the friend and the family, living comfortable. And some of us in the back, they have no lights, we have no water, we don't have proper drainage, we don't have proper road. Hold it. Hold it. Can't stand up on the ground. Take this box and rest on the ground. Rest that box on the ground. Rest that box on the ground.
Manuel, help him take it off.
Let's up on it. Rest it flat on the ground. Nah.
All right, we'll have to work with the voice for now, Candace.
Yes, if you can go on the table.
Candace,
yeah?
Continue and we'll take off the box for now.
All right. All right, we don't need to. All right, so my mouth big enough. So before I continue to talk, because I could talk until tomorrow, right? So let me start to introduce our guest, Mr. Wayne Alonzo. We have the MP, Mr. Wayne Sturge, will be coming in a while. He too has some vital information to share with us tonight. And when I would have heard Mr. Wayne spoke in the last practice meeting they had in Sangre Grande, where he talked about crime and the youths, and where police officers are involved in some of the crimes, I said that is the man we, the people of Sangre Grande, want to represent us. So with him, I believe we will get proper representation. But at the end of the day, we the people, yes, brother, thanks for coming. We have to start to call the shots. It's not about the politicians anymore. It's not about them. It's about we. It's we feeling the pain. We have to stand up for what is right and make a difference for not only ourselves, but for our future generation. Because if you notice, they're the ones dying every day. They're the ones blood washing down the streets. And this government clearly showing you that they do not have a plan going forward to deal with crime at all. Or they can lock up their own brother, their own chummies and them. They can't do that. But at the end of the day, we the citizens living our lives in fear. You cannot leave your home. Thank you. Oh God, Brother Joe, thank you so much. The devil's so busy. You see, when something good about to happen, the devil does always set obstacles. But we better say Satan a liar here tonight. We have to stand firm. So tonight, now this is not going to be the last meeting we're going to have here. If I myself have to go house to house and bring out the people of Northeastern Settlement, I am prepared to do so without no fear, no foe. Because we all have to come together and make a stand. We're tired. Money is going missing in the treasury, and none of them to give accounts. But you know, if it was you or I get, it is alleged money is went missing. Also, we were in the jail until we give accounts for that money. Where that money gone? Where it gone? And that is a question, everybody keep asking, and no answer. When you go to them and you come in the neighborhood and you ask them a question, they shine away from you. Why? It's because you know why? They feel all of us are fools. They don't have to give accountability to us. But you see, this time around, the table is going to turn. If I have to do it on my own, the table is going to turn because enough is enough. We, the people of Northeast and Settlement, we fed up being left behind. We are fed up being left behind. And I didn't make up my mind today. If I had to come over this mic and talk, walk from street to street, I was going to do so because I know somebody will hear me. Because a lot of us fed up and we're tired, but we're frightened to come out. We are so afraid to come out and voice our opinions. Because we're wondering what this one will say and what that one will say. But I am telling you, the people of Northeast and Settlement tonight, to tell you what people will say. You know what's going on in your house. I know the pressures are going on in my house. We all suffering together, so we all have to stand together. We have to stand together for what is right. So we, the employers, because right now they need us. Right now, if you don't have mince, they're popping up the door. Because they're coming wrong, because they want to fool you all over again. For all 10 years, they never argued into the country. They take, and they take, and they take, and they take, and before we know, they leave us empty. So our beloved Prime Minister, he's going to retire very soon, off into the sunset, and he leave you and I in the mess, and he put a shiny man to take over to run the country. Imagine that. That is what we want to settle for. No, we cannot, we must not, and we will not settle for that. Things have to change. And I am saying, now is the time. So before I can go on and on, let me introduce Mr. Wayne Alonso. He came from all the way from Tobago to stand with me and you all so that we can come together and make a change. You know, the road might be rugged, but the race is not for the swiftest, but who can endure to the end. And if you all stand with us, this is not about us. This is not about me or Mr. Wayne Sturge or no special people. This is about all of us. And all of us voice must be heard, and now is the time. So let us welcome Mr. Wayne Alonso.
Thank you, Candace Edwards. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Wayne Alonso, born and bred Sangre Grande, Foster to be particular, Malay Oval, neighbors to the Baileys, good friend of Quincy Luces, a man I used to beat down and fight down and cuss down when he was in the UNC. But the fact that we had respect for each other, he never shunned an opportunity for us to have conversation. Am I right, Quincy? He has always been very centrist in his thinking, always fighting for the people of Sangre Grande. And I always said, if we had 5 representatives like you, Quincy, Sangre Grande would have been much better for it. Because you're from here, you're born, you're bred, you play, you get beat up, and you're still here fighting in the trenches. And I'm really happy to see you here tonight. Truly appreciate that. To the people of Road 4 and surroundings, I know you may not be here in person, but I'm sure in the voice of myself, you are hearing me. We are also joined, I think we are up to about 95%. This meeting is going live on social media. And so we are encouraging those of you who are on social media, feel free to zoom in and get an understanding of what we are trying to do here. Before I get into my substantive conversation, again, let me introduce myself and let you know why I'm here. I'm a fully retired guy, ex-police officer. I've done a lot of work in this country, different ministries, community development. One of the first person working in the town of Laventille under the Community Safety and Enhancement Program among all the criminals. Born and bred of PMM. Born and bred. Sat under the tutelage of our first member of parliament for this constituency, Mr. Robinson, Lionel Robinson, who was the Minister of Agriculture. And it's because of a conversation that I know that he was having with my grandmother. It made me to understand certain things about the culture of the PNM political party. And this is, I'm talking about 58 years ago, when I had an understanding of what those conversations were like. I was 7 years of age, do the math. And so, 58 years later, have I seen much change? Not much. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen any change. There is a sort of culture of the way they operate, the PNM operate. And while we have taken it over the years, while the abuse and the insult, we took it over the years, it was soft abuse. It was gentlemanly abuse. Because we had leaders in the past who were very statesmanlike in their approach. You know, they would come to you still, they will shake your hand, they will stand up, they will listen to you, they will give you a listening ear, they will give you a sense of belonging. They made you feel as though you mattered. And it was that kind of motivation and encouragement that made us say, well, they're so good, we really like them, but there is some inkling of hope that maybe they will do better next time, maybe they will look out for us. So let me tell you guys why I'm here. I saw that video. I saw that video when Ms. Edwards approached our MP, Member of Parliament for this constituency, Mr. Monroe, when she asked that question. What do you have in store for the people of this community? I didn't see any insulting attitude. I did not see any aggressiveness in her approach. And I really did see the MP making an effort to respond to the question. If you go back and look at that video, you will observe that the Member of Parliament did make an effort when he came closer to her with the intention of responding. I think he was smart enough to realize that a camera was in his face. And so he was trying to be diplomatic. What shocked me, however, was to see a person who happens to be the Prime Minister in waiting. A person who has been throughout various ministries, a person who sits in cabinet that creates the policies to dictate our lives, a person who must know that Togo Sangre Grande is the poorest constituency in Trinidad and Tobago, a person that must know that this area he was brought to support this MP happened to be in the poorest part of the poorest constituency in this country, a person who is standing seeing a camera in his face. And that person had the gall to walk away from a resident, a citizen, a voter, someone who can probably with that response could have had a different thinking as to how she views her representative. And so one, he did his representative a disservice because nobody is coming to vote for Stuart Young and Togo Sangre Grande. They're voting for Mr. Monroe. He's the one that has been selected to represent us. And so when you take the person who has to respond and remove him from that resident, let me tell you the things I saw there. I saw disrespect. I saw disregard. I saw no sense of value. I saw condescends. It's a big word, but it simply means he's looking down at me. He don't see we as nothing but voters. That's what I saw. Open insult and open disregard. And when I saw that video, I cringed. And I felt badly to be a part of this community. Born and bred, raised in a P&M household. And I said, this is not the party that my grandmother and my mother and my aunts sacrificed for. And I have an obligation to them to make sure that we return some semblance of respect, some semblance of belonging to the people of Sangre Grande. But because I understand who they are as a political organization, I have to accept the fact that it ain't gonna change. Because the difference with him and the person who is there now is that while we get in the buff and we get in the insult, we do make excuse. And the reason why we make excuses is because he look like we. And we tell ourselves, well, oh God, he's one of we, so we're going to become a blind. But I always tell my brothers and sisters, if I walk up to you, Quincy, and I shake your hand and say, what's up, my nigga? And you can respond, hey, what's up, my nigga? And we bounce, no offense. But when a Chinese man do that to us, or anyone else do that to us, there are some other values that could be attached to that. Don't call me nigger, Chinese boy. Don't call me nigger, white boy. Because that has a different kind of approach. And I am concerned with this very fact. If this is what he has started with, and he is not yet ascended to the throne, what's going to happen to you who have in your own little personal issues and want to have a meeting with one of these officers? What's going to happen to us? Our Prime Minister right now, in some of his offerings when he was fighting and begging for our vote, he said to us, he understands our problem. He said, we are scraping on the economic barrel, and he was referring to the base of the P&M party. So when they look at me, and they look at you, 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 there is an automatic assertion they are PNMites. Am I right? Because the PNM is an Afro-based political organization. That's the majority of the voters. And the UNC has their emphasis on the East Indian aspect of voting. We understand that. So if I see an East Indian man who voting for the UNC, I will say, nah. And then you expect that natural cultural connection. So I had decided, you know what? I am going to join this fight. And I, through thick or thin, I can't remember who I talked to. I probably called about 10 numbers. And they finally got Miss Candace Edwards' name and number. But I didn't even know her name. They got the name. I said, the woman who was on the video, get her number for me. And we've been communicating since that video, probably a week after, how long it was. And just a few hours ago, for the first time, I saw Candace in person. First time. But we talk so much that we tell us that we know each other for years, right, Candace? Because there's a connection, and that connection, that spirit, is a sense of oneness in our concern and our passion to see our community strive. And we have an obligation, Road 4, Babwande, you name it, wherever you're from. This is the community that has to send a message to the political organization called the People's National Movement, that we might be poor, you might buff us, you might insult us, but we ain't taking no disrespect from anyone. We're not taking disrespect from anyone. And you check the record carefully. Every time the PNM loses an election in this country, one of the first constituency that determines that in calling the vote is Toko Sangre Grande. You check it out. 1986, 2010, whenever Pandey won. Every time we had a change of government in this country, Toko Sangre Grande represented that change. And I wonder if it's because the first Prime Minister, in his wisdom, understood that the fact that the port that was coming from Tobago to Trinidad started in the Toko area, allowing a lot of people from Tobago to settle on this side of the country, that he put a Tobagonian in charge of us, understanding the spirit of the people. You know Tobagonians, they don't take the disrespect. That is why they give them a 41 licking in the last local election. And we will send a message to them that here is Tobago number 2. Togo Sangre Grande is Tobago number 2. We are going to send that message. So let me just share a little vision that in discussing with Candice, and she introduced me to this gentleman, Mr. Renison, who is coming from as far as Lavry. This guy is one of the best social media technicians in the country. Well sought after, doing a lot of work. He has his own live program in which he introduces Candice, and they muster hundreds of interests almost every time they go live. So the live is building up right now. When I looked at it, like I said, it was way up there in the 90s. And so we have more people tuning in. And I want to make this point. While you think Candice and I are fighting in this area, there are similar-minded people throughout this country that are openly coming out now to air their hurt. They are angry and they are expressing themselves. I saw a brother with a video from Aruka who talked about not having mass under the MP for that area, the Minister for Public Utilities, Marvin Gonzalez. And he said openly, no more PNM, because Aruka had one of the largest assembling of carnival activities every year. Why not this year? He has denied the people the resources that should come from the National Carnival Commission to give people the comfort of enjoyment within the comfort of their space. Nobody wants to leave Aruka to come up Grande or to go in Port of Spain when they can go down right there and take a little wine and go back home. He denied them that this year. And so people are openly expressing their disgust. We are trying to find those persons, because the idea is not just to have a Togo Sangre Grande movement. This has to be national in nature. We are prepared to join forces with any candidate, especially in predominantly PNM control constituency, to say to the people who is assumed to be PNM, listen, if you want to talk about race, let we talk about race. Nobody can talk about race than us. You know why? Because when we in power, they don't look out for us. We don't get served. They take us for granted. So I came up with a quip that is taken from a book that I read very regularly. And when I start reading, maybe when you hear it, you might get a sense where that might have come from. And I am rehashing the quote. I came unto my own, and my own received me not. But to them who receive me, I will give the power of my vote. I'll say that again. I came unto my own, and my own received me not. So to them who receive me, it's to them I give the power of my vote. I want you guys to understand something. Yeah, this is critically important. And I'm talking to the people who feel that it's okay to vote for the PNM. Watch the record again. Anytime there is a win that the PNM wins, they must have enough conversation to mobilize almost all of us. We must be prepared, like in 2015, like in 2000, in 1986 and 5, 1991, thereabouts, when they had to change from the NAR back to the PNM. We had to mass mobilize the base to give the PNM a win. And whenever anyone beats the PNM in this country, they require some of us to cross the floor. It says to me that any demographic of people that forms a government in Trinidad requires that some of us, that SOME, that some of us who are bold, Quincy, to say, I look like you, I was you, but no more. The ones who are courageous enough to say, I had enough, and I am afraid, and who say what? Let me give you a little story. I had a death in my family only this week, and as I came here, I'm getting calls from my family, and one of my nieces called, and she said, hi, uncle, are you coming down to the house now with us? I said, no, I'm here in Sangre Grande, I'm here to attend a meeting. She said, what meeting? I said, you know, I'm going political again. And I said, I know you won't get mad with me because I'm not voting for PNM. I'm voting for UNC. She said, uncle, you too? She said, but I decided to vote for UNC. I said, well, then your father will be mad with you. Because I tell you, it's PNM people. You know what she said to me? She said, but he changed too. She said, call him. He mad. He changed. So I need to call my brother. So I am so happy to know that the conversation may not be as difficult as I thought it might have been. And that gives me a good sense that there are more people like myself and Candace who are seeing the light, understanding the hate, understanding the deprivation that we have experienced. You see, let me tell you what hurt me about that video. This community, while it is in the poorest constituent and the poorest part, it is a squatters community. But a squatters community that was adopted by the Land Settlement Agency. The Land Settlement Agency is an agency under the auspices of the Housing Development Corporation, a state agency. It means, therefore, the government who is expending the cost must know what are the plans for this constituency, this area. There is so much need. There are houses to be built. There are box drains to fix. They have a sport complex right out there. This Prime Minister in waiting had so much information at the tip of his hand that could have satisfied the question that was posed to her. And instead of responding with some sense of dignity, with some sense of respect, the man openly walks away from a resident of this community. She represents everybody in this community. Everybody in this community who wanted to vote for PNM, all they need to do is to watch that video and realize nothing from nothing leaves nothing. We got nothing, and from what I'm seeing from this man, we ain't gonna get nothing. So you know what? I came unto my own, and my own received me not. So to them who receive me is who I will give the power of my vote. Because if I ain't getting nothing, you know, there is this thing that they say, well, oh God, you know what you have, you ain't know what you're going to get. Well, you know what? Let me change that a little bit. The fact that you know what you have, take a chance with something different. Eh? The fact that you know what you have, you know it because you hear it from your grandmother, you hear it from your mother, you hear it from your auntie, you hear it from your sister, you hear it from your neighbor. 20 years ago they promised my house, 20 years ago they promised my son a work, and you know we still on the waiting list. But you know they come this year and they promise me after election they go hook me up. So I'm still waiting, eh? I'm still waiting. And you're watching your children practicing that kind of lazy dependency syndrome. Is that what we're passing on to our children? That lazy dependency syndrome? We have a responsibility. You know, we go ahead and we blame our children. But we have to take the responsibility. If we don't change it, they will change. They continue with what they're doing. Only recently, I'm not going to call his name because I went to cuss now when I go back down Sangre Grande. But I met a very good childhood friend of mine in Sangre Grande. A man who cussed the PNM every time I come up. He cussing the PNM. Boy, I can't get this, I can't get that. You see me and them, I done with them. So after that walk, I came up to Sangre Grande and I met him. I said, where you are now? What you thinking? He said, boy, I ain't sure, boy. And then his daughter comes into the frame and said, well, you see me? They now give me a little grant from my house, yes? And my friend, who is my age, says, well, boy, she get. So it looked like I go get very soon. Let me make you guys understand the psychology of the PNM, if all you didn't know. They will come into this community and they will realize there are 6 roads so and 10 roads so. They have $1.78 million to distribute throughout the whole of Trinidad. And they know out of that money, they only put aside up to $100,000 for this area. You want your roof fixed, so much for your roof? $20,000, right? They call you in and give you a grant. So they select 5 people strategically planted within this community. So they give you, and they give she who live in so, and they give he who live in so. And what happened? You know, like Mother B, you go there and you start to show up. Hey, what do you like that? So when you hold on, they come in. Hold on, they come in. What happens to that program? Well, the rest of money will be dispersed after the election. What do you think they're begging for? 5 more years. And so out of the $300+ billion that they spent, they take a 0.1% of that in the last 6 months of an election, and they use it as corn, and they sprinkle it in the community. That corn comes in the form of a little 10 days, a little forestry contract. They add 2 more gangs and they give a few people a few more work. They give some money to the regional corporation and say, hire another 100 people. Temporary work. Because you know why? They understand the base of who we are. We don't beg for bakeries. All we want is a bread to eat every day. That is all they understand. So what do? We sell our vote for pennies on the dollar. And here the excuse we give for voting for them. Well, you ain't know the house we live in is PNM, give my great-great-great-grandmother that. And they tell we PNM till we die. We dying of us. We are physically dying. Because the neglect that has been shown to these communities are transitioning to affect our children and our children's children. And they are out there committing acts of violence, decadence, sexual impropriety, causing children to be born from children, and we are having problems. You see, these are things that the MP can't tell you. These are things that the Prime Minister in waiting don't understand. If anybody knows me, well, Susan's daughter will know, because I know she was part of the program that I headed. I had a foundation here in Togo, Sangre Grande, where my brother, deceased, God bless his soul, fathered a child out of wedlock. And when he went to look for that woman, she had moved from the community that she was in. He couldn't find her. He found out that she was pregnant, and he made efforts to find her. And when he did find her, she said to him, the man that I am married to do not want to see another man coming into the home, so I want you to stay away. I don't want to affect my marriage. And my brother had to stay away from his son. At the age of 8 years old, within that period, my brother suffered diabetes that translated into kidney failure, translated into blindness. And I was living abroad at the time, and I was visiting my mother's home. While standing in the gallery, that young man walks into my mother's home, and he said to me, I came to see my father. I said, who is your father? And when he called him, I saw my brother's face with him. I said, come. And I go to my brother and said, there's a young man outside there who said he's your son. He said, call him into the room. My brother couldn't see, he was fully blind. And I stood up by the door and I'm looking at my brother with his hand on that young man's face. And when he realized who that child was, he broke down in tears and he started to cry. He found the mother, and the mother gave him the stories of all the problems she went through between where she was living when he knew her and when she got married up until the age of 8 years. They just moved back to Sangre Grande. As a matter of fact, they lived just a stone throw away from here. That young man was getting himself in a lot of problem. He had antisocial behavior, wasn't doing his work. But every weekend, now that he found his father, he would come to the home and sit with his father all weekend long. He was happy to find his family. And my brother said to me, he said, Wayne, what I could not do for my own son, I want to do it for others. We must find children coming out of single mother homes, not just single parents, single mother, because that is what that woman was. And we must mentor them because I wasn't there for my son. And we started a foundation right there on Foster Road. The purpose of the foundation was to find these children. We didn't know where they were. And so I had to go to the school and ask the principal. We started in Sangre Grande Government School, but that's where we all went to school. I said, we are looking for the worst of the lot. We're looking for the ones who have antisocial, anti-academic behavior, and they only have a single mother raising them. We only had funding because we were sticking our hands in our pocket. Now check this. We got to pay the tutors. We got to pay for their food. We have to pay the bus to take them back to their respective homes every evening. The principal called the teachers together and they selected the first 13 children. And let me tell you why this community is so dear to me. 9 out of those 13 children came from this community. 9. One of them right now is in the United States on a full scholarship, football scholarship. You hear me? One of them right now, as a matter of fact, we did Keon for a short while because Keon was too much involved in football that he didn't stick around. But you know what? He's on a full contract with the top team in Canada. He's the striker. You know Keon Moore, right? He's the striker for Trinidad and Tobago football team. We have had young men who have been able to benefit from that program. So I understand the makeup of this community. I understand there are young girls in this community, 12 years old I met, who were forced into sexual relation because mommy not around, daddy not around, mommy's working in Barataria at courts on the highway. She has to go to work for 6 o'clock. She has to leave Sangre Grande by 4:30 because that's the first maxi leaving. And when she leaves the Port of Spain with a late relief, she's not getting back home until 8. She leaves her 12-year-old child to care for the 6-year-old child. 2 children. And by 4 o'clock, those children come home. Nothing to eat, nothing to drink. Is a 16-year-old boy hanging on the block, selling marijuana, was fathering those 2 children at the expense of sexual impropriety. Forcing himself on the 12-year-old girl. She cannot tell anybody because that box of KFC is more important to her to feed her and her little 6-year-old brother. These are things that will make you cry and cringe. So that when you see the only hope that people in this community have is to look to your leaders. More so, the man who will be in charge is coming into our community so he could see and hear firsthand. And you turn your back on us. You turn your back on us. We're not having it, Mr. Young. And you know, I've done some research. And I have seen other videos. I have seen one in Parliament, where a reporter who is doing the job of the public, they have access to these guys to ask them questions. And the reporter walks up to the Prime Minister in waiting to ask a question. The video did not give us clearly what that question was, but he walks up with an attitude, what do you want? And when the video showed the guy asking the question, the next move that that Prime Minister in waiting did, walk up in the mic and do so. Well, I can't even stoop, I'm so mad right now. He stoops in the mic, knowing that a camera is in his face. Is there anything that man could come and tell you to make you feel that he cares about you and I? I want you to understand something. We beg for 365 days a year. We have to beg for 365 days a year. Multiply that 5 times. They only beg once every 5 years. You know why they're begging? So they could fill their pockets and they could look out for their friends and their family for the next 4.5 years. They only beg once. And we allow them to manipulate our thinking and feel sorry for them. And I want to ask all the PNM people under the sound of my voice, ask yourself this one critical question. Why or what have they done to impress upon me and my household? You see, let me tell you the thing that they do. And I want you guys to be very sensitive to this going forward. Because they're coming out on the campaign trail, they're coming to do 2 things. They're coming to talk about Maduro and Dragonfield. And they're coming to talk about why the money not missing. And they're coming to talk about Point Lisas. And they're coming to talk about the airport in Tobago. And they're coming to talk about the center hospital they're going and open. All those big macro plans. You know why they're doing that? Because they understand how we this thing. And let me tell you how we this thing. We PNMites. We talk in the collectives. I'm using a big word here, but I'm going to explain it. We talk in the collectives. Let me tell you how we just talk. When they come to ask for the vote and they say, well, no, you voting for them? You voting for PNM still? Here we just respond to that. Yeah, but oh God, it's we who build Napa, and it's we who build Sapa, and it's we who build the highway, and we. But here's the thing, how did the hospital, and Napa, and Sapa, and the highway translate into your bread and butter issues? Did it improve your salary? Did it secure a job? Are you getting a program for your child after school that they could deal with some of their socio-economic issues? So all the money that they're digging up, I listened to the Prime Minister spoke the other day in Tobago when a question was posed to him. What would you consider for the last 10 years to be your crowning glory? You know what his response was? I'm listening, and I'm hoping he will talk about something he did for me and you. You know what the man talk about? My pride and joy is monetizing the gas field of Point Lisas. That is his pride and joy. And what strategy coming? He's coming next week to open 2 unfinished macro projects. The Tobago Airport, that don't even have an airplane other than Caribbean Airlines to land and British Airways, and he's coming to open the hospital in Port of Spain. Now, I live right down the street from the airport, and I pass by the airport every day. And that airport is ready to open. You hear me? I ain't sure when the hospital I was told it is not yet outfitted. So you have to ask the question, is he coming to do that so he can get his name on the piece of stone before he rides out in the sunset as his last shebang to show off to the public and to the country what he did for we? You know, we just talk, we. It's we who put the hospital, and it's we who give the name on the airport. We. And at the end of the day, there's insulting us. They're disrespecting us. So I'm warning you guys, be careful of their strategy. So that is strategy number one. They will come with all their macro plans. And when they finish with that, here's what they do to we again. They give us now a conversation for the street. You know what that conversation is be? All you watch how wicked them, you will see people there, all you see Kamala, and what she do, and how much thing with the teeth, and blah, 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 and remind us about 15 years ago. That's what they do, because they know that we don't do the research. We take the conversation that they give us, and we make that our conversation. No research, no checks and balance, no truth. They give us a conversation. Well, hear what? All the conversation they give us, it does not qualify to enough reason for us to vote for something. If we're voting for something, we're not voting for it for ourselves and our family. We're voting for it for Balizéans. We're voting for it for them. So all this macro talk about Sapan, Napan, airport and hospital, that's what we're going to be voting for. They've not given us a conversation to vote for something for us, for our community, for our family. But what they give us is enough reason why we should hate everything that is opposed to the PNM. That's what they do to us. And that is what I call the noose around our necks. You see, I don't expect nobody else to expose this but us. We have to expose it. We have to expose it. I'm glad you can expose that because you don't know. You wasn't sitting by Lionel foot 49 years ago. I sat at his feet. I saw my grandmother waking up 2 o'clock in the morning to make that sugar cake and make that sweet bread and fry that chicken leg so that we could jump on a bus and go Point Fortin and go Citrus and go Toku. I have been part of that as a child and I had no choice. For the bus material, you have to go. You have to go. So I know the history. And after all these years, I'm retired. And what I saw is a deja vu moment. And I said, no. The thing had to change. Am I confident? Oh, yes. Cautiously optimistic, cautiously confident. Because I'm hearing from more people who is waking up. But we're not taking any chance. So while we might have a small gathering, and I understand the culture of this community, there are some borderline issues. There are people who might be uncomfortable coming out to the front, and the ones in the front coming out to the back. But Candace and I spoke earlier, and we are getting ready to meet them where they are. We will go into every nook and cranny of this community. We already had conversation with the mosque. I have already spoken to Pata and Coca, who is willing to host us. We're going to go into every community in this neighborhood. Who want to join us, join us. We are going into these communities because we have to change. We have to change. And let me tell all you, I'm telling all you straight, they mightn't be the best thing for politics. They may not be the best thing for politics. But I am prepared to tell all these wannabe politician leaders, all you behave on yourself, cool on yourself, watch the whole paradigm shift. Understand that the manner in which they treat the least of us, they treat all of us. So that when you go and you thief a little bit of vote here, thief a little bit of vote there, and you have 5 political parties looking for a little 15% of the vote, and 15%, and 15%, and you get up to 65%, and the PLM get 35%. 15 equals 65. It's still less than 35. Think about it. So when you come with your little chunk and you mess up the whole thing, what we do, we bring in what you call a minority government. But if they have nothing like that, the government is the government, they win. And we have to take that for 5 more years. But I don't know if I go survive 5 years. Miss Mary, you do. We can't wait. We want to see change for our surroundings, for our neighborhood. I told Mr. Sturge, we are going to hold you accountable, sir. We're going to give you the seat, but we're going to hold you accountable because your purpose there is about the people's business. We are giving you the opportunity to manage the resources of this land, of which I am a citizen. This land that I am a citizen, where the wealth of this land should be distributed equitably, equally. It means, therefore, when you bring a big contractor in this town, make sure that a percentage of that contract stays in the community. Don't give me a little son of work. Find a contractor so that he can employ 10, 15, 20, so that when they leave with the bag of money, a portion stays. We are going to hold, we have to change this thing. This is not about changing a politician, you know. This is about changing the approach in which politicians treat with us. We have to change this thing. And that is the mission that we are on today. That's the mission I am on today. All right? So I mean, I can carry on, but I understand that Mr. Sturge is in the mix with us. You see? By the way, good to see you, man. You look so short that I didn't make you. I feel tall right now. Yep. Come on over, man. Come on over. Come and say hi to some of the residents here. And we also have live going on social media. Right? So we just want to give you an opportunity to say hi to everybody and let them know that you are standing in the gap, making some serious sacrifice for us here in Togo Sangre Grande. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Wayne. And I want to thank Candice for inviting me to her home. And I want to thank all of you all for coming out, all of those who are looking on social media. Now, I just came from walking in a place called Milau, up in off of the Togo Main Road. And I've been in Vega de Oro. I've been walking there for the last few days. Now, a lot of people don't realize that water, access to potable water is a fundamental human right. A lot of people don't realize that. And I met a school teacher today on the walk, and we were discussing the curriculum in primary school. And the curriculum has not changed in any significant way in the last 40 years. And that is one thing that the PNM would boast about. They always take credit for a PNM education. And I remember Foster Cummins one time, when I spoke about education one time in the Senate. Foster Cummins was telling me that I have no right to carry down or to pronounce badly on the PNM's education because of the PNM, he's saying that we in this country have access to education. Now, just the other day, I had cause to speak on the system of education in Trinidad and Tobago. And I had to address what Mr. Cummins said to me all those years ago in the Senate, because he was saying, because I succeeded, because I became a lawyer, that and I am a successful lawyer, he said, that I have no right to criticize the system of education that the PNM gave to us. Now, the first thing I had to tell him is that I became a lawyer not because of the PNM's system of education, but in spite of it. Because the PNM system of education doesn't guarantee quality education for everyone. It doesn't guarantee the sort of education that is relevant to all of us. So at the end of the day, what you have would be a handful of people, a small percentile, who would, after secondary school, move on to tertiary education, and that is what the PNM boasts about. But if 2 or 3% of the mass of persons, of students, go on to tertiary education, but 97% doesn't, that's not something to boast about. That's the first thing. The second thing I'll tell you is that of the 3% who move on to tertiary education, it turns out that tertiary education is a waste in Trinidad and Tobago, because there are persons who get degrees, who get master's degrees. In fact, some of them go on to get doctorates. And guess what? They can't find a job. So then what really is the point? What really is the point of boasting about a system of education where 3% achieve the highest level of education, the creme de la creme, but at the end of it, most of them are either unemployed or underemployed. So they have those who can get a job, and then they have those who will have to settle for a job where they are competing with someone who really needs only 5 passes. So you spent all those years getting a master's degree, and then when you turn up for the interview, because you can't get nothing, you turn up for the interview, and they say, well, guess what, you're overqualified. Because if you take this job, you use it as a stepping stone, so don't even bother. We really want somebody with 5 passes. So they are setting us up to fail, and setting us up to fail with a system of education that is no longer relevant. And when I gave that speech some time ago, talking about how irrelevant, how anachronistic, how outdated our system of education is, lo and behold, 2 days later, Stuart Young turned up in a primary school to say the exact same thing. Didn't he know that before? That's why I had to do a video to call him out on it, to say, well, when did you know that? You've been in government for the last 10 years. What have you done to change it? Why, when I speak about it, suddenly you want to talk about it? And obviously, he's going to get the primetime news when he says it, because he's the Prime Minister in waiting. So he'll sound like he said it first. But he basically is addressing something that is obvious to everybody. But what did PNM boast about in terms of education? They educate you with something called inculcation. And one of the things they like to do, and I only discovered recently, they don't teach social studies in St. Joseph's Convent. I have a daughter who's going to St. Joseph's Convent, and she's telling me social studies is not an option. They're doing 13 subjects and 14 subjects, and social studies is not an option. But it's an option for the mass of other schools, and St. Joseph's Convent, Port of Spain, is quite rightly held out as one of the highest or high-performing schools. But they don't teach social studies. But all of the other schools, whether it's composite school, secondary school, what have you, teach social studies. And it's almost as a given, just like English and maths. It's almost like a given. And they teach social studies And the bulk of social studies is to educate you about who's the first Prime Minister, to tell you all about Eric Williams, to tell you all that Eric Williams did, and to, in essence, without blatantly saying so, tell you how great the PNM is. That's what a PNM education is about. And they inculcate it. So you don't, the PNM education is not the one where you learn to think. They don't give you methods to teach you analysis. They just give you the type of education where you learn facts and you regurgitate it. And where you learn not facts, propaganda, and that propaganda becomes fact. And when it becomes fact, it is anathema to go against it. Right as I walk out of the Hall of Justice on Knox Street, the library I used to study at, right at the corner there, that was the city library. That's now the Eric Williams Library, where you learn all about Eric Williams and his history. And then they want to have little tours so school children can go and learn all about Eric Williams. Eric Williams died a hell of a long time ago. And Eric Williams, whilst I didn't know him personally, I got to know somebody named Cuthbert Joseph, Dr. Cuthbert Joseph. I don't know if you all know him. And we had a business together because he was once Minister of Education. And Cutty and I ran a business together where we taught law. It was called the Academy of Law. And we had many conversations. And one of the things Cutty Joseph told me, because he carried me to join the PLM years ago, and I refused. Eventually, Penny Beckers, when I started to study law, took me over. And I lasted one meeting. And in that meeting, they said they are putting me with a select group of people to brainstorm. They are putting me to brainstorm, and this group had all of the educated elites, as they say, and we have to brainstorm and come up with talking points and come up with propaganda. When I sat down and I listened to the propaganda, you know who was chief cook and bottle washer at that cottage meeting? Marlene MacDonald. And when we listened to what they were saying about, that was 1999, their agenda was to demonize Basdio Pandey. Their agenda was to demonize Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj. Their agenda was to demonize Sadiq Bash, who incidentally, I found out not too long ago, between 1995 and 2000, he's the person responsible for building roads in this area. A lot of the people here are not old enough to know, but that's what I'm told. So the purpose of that group of, as I say, elite people was to sit down and brainstorm and come up with propaganda talking points. When I asked the silly question as a lawyer, is it true? They said, we are not concerned about the truth. We are concerned about winning hearts and minds. And winning hearts and minds meant demonizing Basdio Pandey, Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, and the others. And I asked them, well, what about dealing with the issues? And what came out at the end of it is, Trinidad grew in 5 years. They had nothing to complain about. They, Pandey and company, they brought a whole fleet of police vehicles, and the police vehicles were checkered blue and yellow. And they decided that that should be a talking point. That Pandey and others were basically putting the yellow of the UNC into the police vehicles. It had to take the police commissioner to say that there's a reason why yellow is the main color, because it's the brightest for night and so on and so on. Right? But every little thing they would nitpick to try and find out how they could, and let me use their words, demonize the UNC at the time, Basil Pandey in particular. And eventually, with using their resources, the party group known as the First Division of the Police Service, that's a party group, eventually with using their resources in the First Division, they got Pandey charged for one thing, for next thing, and so on. And then they took Pandey out of the political landscape until shortly before his death. Do you know that 1 month or 2 months, I think it is, not more than 2 months before Pandey died, the last case against Basil Pandey was withdrawn by the Director of Public Prosecutions for lack of evidence. So Basil Pandey left this earth with no criminal convictions, with no pending matters. But he left this earth loved by the PNM till they end up praising him. You see, once they get you out of the way, they'll praise you. Once you are a problem, they'll demonize you. And they took him out for about 20 years. So from when he got charged in 2001 thereabouts until his death, he was no longer electable, as Jack Warner said. He was politically ugly. But lo and behold, the people responsible for locking him up and keeping him out of the way are now in an alliance with, I wouldn't even call her name, an alliance with a person, a lawyer, who once on Facebook was talking about and criticizing lawyers who cut and paste, saying that lawyers who cut and paste are dishonest and that it's fraud and so on. But lo and behold, she issued a video recently, and when you compared it to a video put out by the Prime Minister of New Zealand, the exact same message, the exact same words, everything used by the Prime Minister of New Zealand in that video, she used. So she put it out as her own original video, thinking that people don't do research, not only to realize that it was a cut and paste, that you don't even have your original words, you don't even have your own original thoughts or your own ideas. But you form a party, and the whole purpose of your party is to demonize the UNC. They don't talk about issues, they pretend to talk about issues, but her party and Gary's party is to demonize the UNC. Why don't they go and fight an election by themselves? They can't. So they want to line up and put pressure. But the amazing thing is, this person who, in essence, used a political speech from the Prime Minister of New Zealand, is now suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. You know what Stockholm Syndrome is? That's when you fall in love with your kidnapper. When somebody kidnaps you and they hold you hostage, and eventually you start to trust that person and believe in that person, fall in love with that person. That's Stockholm Syndrome. And she now wants to demonize Kamala, but the people responsible for having her father in jail and out of the political landscape for 20-something years, she wouldn't demonize them. But she'll come to split the vote, because as long as she hurts the UNC, she's happy. Because you can't get your own way. But that's not what politics is about. Politics is about building bridges. Politics is not about exclusion, it's about inclusion. Look at those who demonize others. That's what the PNM is good at. Demonizing. Tell you don't vote for them, Indian and them, don't vote for the Hindu, don't this and that and the other. That's what they do. That's the sad reality. But that has to change. That type of politics has to change. Because at the end of the day, just as I see in Gandhi, the people are changing it. At the ground level, people don't have time for that. At the ground level, you see us, you see one going to the other celebration. Sorry.
Hi, good night. My name is Erica. Sorry, I represent Northeastern Settlement, right? And for those who cannot make it at this moment, right? I would like to know what plan you have for us for Northeastern Settlement.
All right, I'll answer you just in a minute. I just wanted to finish a point. But the point I was trying to make in essence is that, and it flows into your point, which I'm going to answer you. You have to change your mindset. That is the first thing you have to change. But Gandhi is at the place. I see no racism in Gandhi. Racism exists within the minds of some politicians who love to divide and rule. Racism doesn't exist here. In fact, there are so many Douglas in Sangre Grande. Some of the most beautiful Douglas I've seen right in Sangre Grande. But to answer your question, the plans, to talk about plans, the first thing you have to do is know what is wrong in an area. Right? I'll tell you, I walked Babande the other day, and when I was going into the entrance, I had a conversation with some youth. And usually when I go into different areas at the end of Foster Road and all these places, and I meet the youth linemen on the block, I try to have a conversation with them to find out what they want. Because politics is not really supposed to be top down. Yes, you need leaders. You need leaders to lead the charge. But politics is from the ground up. Politics is not about imposing your beliefs or your will on people. Politics is about understanding from the people what their needs are and how best they wish their needs to be met. And your job now is to figure out a way how to deliver. So let me tell you, when I asked in Vega de Oro, which was the biggest problem is water. Right? Different areas in Grande have different problems. And what I saw in Northeastern, which is a major problem, I think, and it ties in with my experience in the criminal justice system, there are too many unemployed young people in Northeastern. Right? So, the first thing you have to do is address the issue of unemployment. And it cannot be short term. But to address the issue of unemployment and crime go hand in hand. The purists would tell you that being unemployed is not an excuse to commit crime. That's the purists. The purists will also tell you that you need to wear your dress to cover your ankles because that's what it says in Leviticus. The reality is, if you cannot feed your family, if you are unemployed, the devil will find work for idle hands. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you will have to survive. And some people survive either by, regrettably, they go into the wrong thing. A lot of the problems in Gandhi, and it has to be fixed by something called addressing proximal causes rather than root causes. But what needs to fix is the mindset, first of all. Now, the mindset has to be addressed 10 years hence, 10 years before. Right? You can't go up to a 25-year-old and tell him you're going to change his mindset now. Right? He has to live. Right? He has to eat. Right? And when I talk to the youths, as I told you, when I came to Babonde and when I talked to a few down in Foster Roads, I was disappointed because you know what they want? 10 days in regular supply. And I asked them, well, why? What would you do when the 10 days finish? What would you do when you turn 40 years old? And the others who coming up who are 20 years old like you now want the same 10 days. What do you think is going to happen? Well, two things. You're not going to be vibrant enough to be working at 10 days. Your background giveaway, you're going to be, unless you're skilled, you're going to be useless. And the way our country is going, where people are fighting for 10 days, you'll have a situation where the younger people are going to say, you getting in my way, you know. That 10 days is for me. And you might very well find yourself dying young. So what you need to do, because in Grande, the issue is not just unemployment. There's serious unemployment, but a lot of the youths are unemployable. And you can't let that continue. Because when people are unemployable, they become hustlers. When they become hustlers, and the PLM loves that. Rohan Sinanan loves that. Rohan Sinanan and his proxy, Mr. Manu. They love that. Because on election day, a hustle is they'll sit down by the express or wherever they sit down and wait for the black Prado to reach and show that the finger ain't red yet. And they'll wait for the $300 or $500 and then they'll go and vote. But how long is that $300 or $500 going to last you? And that's what I told them about the 10 days. When you finish your 10 days, what are you going to do with the money? Well, they're going to drink and have a good time because they're frustrated. Everybody is looking for an escape when your reality is hard. We like to say you shouldn't drink rum, you shouldn't smoke weed. All of these things we should be teaching you in primary school and inculcating it, right? But the reality is people need an escape. And they'll escape. So they'll waste their money on sex, on drugs, on drinking, until they get an next 10 days. And that is not sustainable, and that is something that has to be fixed. And there are easy fixes. But the reason why it wouldn't be fixed, the PLM has no desire to fix these things. None whatsoever. Because if they fix, first of all, long term, the system of education to make it relevant, if they fix the system of education so that from a very young age people learn not facts but learn to analyze facts, then the PLM will never return to power, right? And if they educate people so that their education is relevant to what is needed in the community, in Toko Sangre Grande, which is unique in particular, if they fix it, then the young people would not be dependent. And if they are not dependent on the government for handouts, then there's no reason to vote for them. You see, I started saying something and then you had asked me a question and I just want to finish it now. I was talking about a conversation with Cuthbert Joseph, who was a very good friend of Eric Williams. And you know what Cutty told me a long time ago? He said, Sturge, politics is about managing expectations. And I asked him, what do you mean by that? And he said, listen, Dr. Williams told him something, you don't give people what they want. You have to leave them in a state where they are always wanting. If they are always wanting, then at some point, you give them. You know when you give them? You give them just before the local government election. That has to change. You give them just before the general election. That has to change. But it wouldn't change if our system of education is creating hustlers who are hustling money. And one big hustler is waiting for the Prado to bring some money on that day, for that 500. So, yes, you have to fix the mindset, but mindset has to be fixed from when they are in primary school, right? But for the short term, there's so much that could be done. And what you have to give young people, you have to give them advice on business. If you tell them go into farming, that food is a must. Food is a must. KFC pays a certain farmer, I wouldn't call his name, hundreds of thousands of dollars so that they can make some coleslaw. Right? But that's hundreds of thousands of dollars for I think 2 or 3 branches. Right? Or 4 branches. I think it's the Diego Martin section, the west. And so different farmers make different kinds of money. There are big food establishments that source their things locally. Right? But there are too much 1%ers in this country. And we are putting young people in a situation where if you tell them go and do agriculture, you know they say, that is slavery thing. That is hard work. We ain't doing that. A 10 days better. I work 2 hours and then that is it. Right? But if you change their mindset and tell them that listen, why don't you, we'll give you land. These are the foods that are in demand. Right? We can source downstream industries who would want your crop, the particular crop. And you tell them, look, we are not going to employ you and pay you a wage, you know. We'll give you a startup. So if it's 8 of you in this community, we give you this piece of land and you all are 8 shareholders. Right? So you have 8 shareholders, and if you have 8 shareholders, and the only way the business is going to work is if they work, then they'll work. And if they know that when they work, they are going to get the same 300,000 that the guy supplying coleslaw gets, they'll work for it. And isn't that better than telling them go and work by our farm for 100 or 150 a day? It must be better. But you have to change their mindset. Another thing that I see in Gandhi, a lot of them tell me, well, we can't get work because we are convictions. Or we are pending matters in the courts. That needs to change in the same way that the government, in essence, is encouraging marijuana smoking. Right? And they're saying, well, all these people who smoked marijuana all those years ago, we're going to expunge everything and you have a good record again. Right? There are people who you can use, who, in spite of their past criminal record, they might have gotten something for larceny at 19 or 20, wounding, what have you. There are a number of offenses. But think of yourself. You think of yourself as 18 or 19 years old, and you tell me whether you are the same person now that you are 40, assuming you are. Tell me if you are the same person when you were 20. Could never be. So why would a conviction, why should a conviction for certain offenses hold you back? You see, all they need to do is change the law, you know. All they need to do is change the law so that certain things can be spent. They gave you community service orders, but that's for certain types of matters. But a good starting point for the people in Grande, in essence, let's say, for instance, in the police service, there are some people who cannot make 5 passes to get into the police service. Right? But do you really need 5 passes to get into the police service? Think about it. In the United Kingdom, for instance, there are police officers whose job would be, as they call them, the heavies, like the bouncers. Do you really need 5 passes to be a guard in emergency? No. You see, in Trinidad and Tobago, what you need is proper planning, proper compartmentalization, so that even if people may have run afoul of the law before, you give them an opportunity, not for pardons, because pardons are almost impossible to get. The process to get a pardon is a turn off. And then you are at the mercy of the mercy committee, who most times are stuck up people who have no mercy, who live in a bubble and don't understand the reality. You have, in the same way that we're willing to pass laws to say we are going to expunge all your marijuana convictions, then it can apply across the board to certain, not rape obviously, not certain types of offenses, but you have to widen it so that people don't continue spending the rest of their lives paying for something they did 10, 15, 20 years ago. And then you, by doing that, you put them into the job market, because eventually some of them, they go get jobs, but their employers, when they ask for the CR, the certificate of good character, and when they produce it and the employer sees, well, you know, he chopped up somebody some years ago, or he had a fight some years ago, they're going to say, well, sorry, in spite of your good work, we don't want you. So there are a number of things. I can go on whole night, but I don't have the stamina like Wayne does. He really does. I admire him. I really admire him. He should be a lawyer, to be honest. And he had a good start as a police officer. But well, he had to go get educated in law. But the thing is, there is so much that could be done. There are so much simple ways to fix simple things that will benefit so many people if you want to do it. And the short point is, I don't think that the man with the St. Joseph Convent accent who is now going to lead Dr. Williams' PNM, I don't think he can come down to the ground level to understand the ground level to fix anything. He doesn't identify. He came the other day to say he born in some kind of place in Monkey Town. Who knew him from there? Maybe his mother did. Maybe his grandfather did. He didn't. And even if he born there, he may have been born there on that day because he couldn't reach the hospital, right? But that's not where he's from. Ask him which primary school he went to, which secondary school he went to. Ask him who are his friends, which clubs he belongs to. He is not someone who can identify with the regular guy who's sitting out by the express lineman or any part of Foster Road or by Babande. He can't identify with you. So if he cannot identify with you, how do you expect him to do anything for you? Do you really expect him to care? Judging by the last 10 years of being a Siamese twin of this lazy bloke, Dr. Rowley. Judge him, he's a Siamese twin. So whatever you are going to use to judge Creek Rowley on, you have to use that to judge Stuart Young on, because Rowley himself said, that's my Gary Sobers. Who was Gary Sobers? Not his all-rounder, his best player. So if you are to judge Rowley on his performance or lack of or failure, because he really was a failure, then you have to hold Stuart Young to the same standard. And he has proven himself in the last 10 years to be an out-of-touch failure. So let me answer next question, ma'am.
Okay. Well, depending on the say the fix of this ring here.
After so long?
After so long.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has been done.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here to talk about the 10 days.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But you understand that have 4 people in the back of it. Really and true. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You have those who might be able to get a government work.
Right.
You have who have trade, but they might not have the funds. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
We in our community really need help. And we really need a change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need a proper community center in settlement.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Especially for everybody. And the youth need to have some trade, something to go by when it's holiday time. So we can have extra classes. So we can motivate our little children, groom them up then. You understand? Even some elected class. Some things, instead of talking about drugs, you know, some things are really motivated to have them going. You understand? And next thing, the drain. I am see a 10 days for and I see a secret. Pass the clean, not even said like the drain. It didn't have no county, nothing cleaning these drains and then none, no way. So it's water and flood. And I can tell you because I started this big flood here, water reached up to inside. And there, I have a fix it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because of the drain.
Right.
No proper drain at all. They just do things anyhow, just so. But you must have a direction.
But if you are paying taxes, do you think you should be forking out money to fix the government drain?
No.
Let me give you a scenario where I live in the West. in the 10 years I've been living there, only one day out of that 10 years I did not have water. And let me tell you what happened on that day. That day, they opened a place down in a water park. Forget the name of it, 5 Islands. They opened a water park on that day, and I think all of the water from everywhere in the West was sucked up to go to 5 Islands. That's the only day in 10 years. So I want to ask, do the citizens of Regents, Towers, and environs, Ridgewood and all these areas, have a greater right to 24 hours, 7 days a week water than you do? Do you think so? If there's a pothole, how long do you really think it takes to fix in Westmoreland?
Oh, very nice day.
Right? If there's a break-in, a home invasion in Grande, you think it gets solved how often?
No.
But there was a home invasion in Westmoreland,
Yeah.
and it gets solved in a day. You all remember that?
Yeah.
So, if you are paying tax like they do, what right do they have to have the best of the government whilst you get no performance? But they come and play, and let me tell you why they'll continue to come play vote. This is something I noticed about Grande. Grande changed hands in 1986 and 2010. And let me tell you what I noticed about Toko Sangre Grande. Toko Sangre Grande has been neglected. Serious, this is one of the most neglected constituencies in this country. Only Labre might be second. Even Labantel is not that neglected, you know. It has a bad name. Right? This is one of the most neglected constituencies in the country. But do you think anything would change if you bring back the PNM? The answer is no.
No.
You want me to tell you why? Because if they neglect you so much and you keep voting them back, you really think they're going to waste resources to come here?
Never happened.
They'll go in a marginal constituency. So if you want to, and that's what you have to tell the youths. I know there's a weight and a border issue. It's sad. It's where I live. It's the same thing. I grew up in Port of Spain. I was born and bred, and Stuart Young can't come and tell me I wasn't born there. Everybody can tell you I born and grow there, and they see me there every day. Born and bred in Serrano Road, Belmont. And once I go up Serrano Road stairs and go down the next stairs, I reach Bella Road, which I also grew up to part of my life. And now Bella Road can't go Serrano Road can't go Bella Road, and they're next door to each other.
But I can go anywhere in Patano.
But that's you. But the youths, I understand what the issues are. But that and all, that needs to change. Right? There are ways to change these things, not by a SOE, which is going to last how long ever it lasts, and then that's a temporary thing.
Because they make it hard for the people in settlement, and they promise, even if we own, and they turn their back on us. So you find some people now, it's a little hard. You understand? It's a little hard, they make a promise, and when they're turning their back.
Yeah, well, they'll turn their back. Listen, if you continue. Yeah. Win, lose, or draw, the PNM.
I'm not talking about PNM. I'm not talking PNM. I saw you in Superman.
Right.
Right? Everybody.
I'm glad to hear that.
Right?
But who's turning their back?
What we want to know, we forget in the past, what we want to know the person right now, what intention that they have to notice and settlement. That's what the people want to hear. I talking like on behalf of the people in this line, and they want to know.
But the first thing that
they don't want to know that when they came, they put Harry here, they put Paul here, when they done it, so there's nothing going on. They kind of said, come to talk to you. Because when they do that, you know, the people like you understand it.
Right. It has happened, and what I want to say is, you can't forget the past. Right? The PNM has been in power in Grande in the last 10 years. Or if you want to use the word past, for the past 10 years. If you have to judge the PNM, are you going to judge them on the next 5 years? You have to judge them on the last 10 years. And I ask people, judging what they've done in the last 10 years, can you give me a good reason why you should give them 5 more? Just one reason. And most people can't. Right? Of course, you'll have the loyalists who will find reason. But the short point is, I'm sorry that your representatives didn't turn up as often as they should, and they were not reachable, and they did nothing. Mr. Manu did nothing except collect rent for the last 10 years. 5 years, sorry. He made one speech in Parliament, as far as I recall, in the last 5 years. Right? What should happen? You shouldn't judge me, because I haven't had the chance yet. You shouldn't judge me on his performance or Miss, I forgot, Glenda Jennings.
We want to give you the chance.
Well, I hope so, but it's not giving me a chance. I want to make something clear. You have to give yourself a chance. Right? You have to give yourself a chance. I'm just here basically to channel deliveries, right? To ensure that things happen. That's what your representative is supposed to do. A representative is almost like a social worker. So he'll know what your needs are, he'll know which agencies are responsible for delivering, and he has to bridge the gap and do delivery for you, right? So I'm a lawyer, win, lose or draw, I can go back and continue, right? But the PLM comes back in power, Monroe comes back in power, you have to face him for the next 5 years. The St. Joseph's Convent, Stuart Young, if he already showed you what he's capable of in the last 10 years, so what do you expect in the next 5 years? So if you want change, you can't vote for the same thing. You have to vote for something different. And yes, I agree, I heard what was said by Wayne just now. I have to go just now, but I want to thank Wayne for what he said, because it is true, you have to hold your representatives accountable, and you have to find ways. I have to congratulate Ms. Edwards. I didn't know Ms. Edwards before. I saw a picture where I spoke at a Monday night meeting in Grande, and I saw a picture where we were standing together, but I took hundreds of pictures that night. And I was saying, I remember her tall, fair skin, and then I see people saying, look, she's, and I don't know her. I didn't. I know her now. I thank you for inviting me to your district, to your home, right? My mother was a nurse just like you are. Attendant. Hospital attendant. My mother worked in the hospital also. My mother also worked 10 days. You never worked at 10 days. But I remember, I don't want to say I was embarrassed, but one of the most harrowing experiences I had as a young fella coming up, I was 6 or something, and walking on you, I left home late that morning to go to school, Belmont RC I was going to. And school started 7:30 first, because we were sharing the building with the girls' school, which had burnt down in 1979. And I'll never forget, one morning walking down late, I didn't know my mother used to work 10 days. And that's the first day I saw my mother weeding, pulling grass on the side of the road. And it was a mixture of emotions. To be honest, I was sort of embarrassed. Yeah. I was sort of embarrassed. But it sparked something in me, because what I knew of my mother at the time, she was working in a pharmacy called Jocelyn's Pharmacy on Ertic Road. And in the night, she used to go to Tranquility Government Secondary to do evening classes. But what I did not know was that in the morning, she used to work, they used to call it Jude, I think, or something like that. So when I saw that, I resolved that would never be me, not me being disrespectful to my mother. But I was saying I have to make my mother proud, and I have to do whatever I have to do to buy a house for my mother, to make her comfortable in her old age, because after the divorce, she stuck with us. She didn't have to. Father said he's going to take all 3, and, thank God we didn't go that way. He was a good man, but too churchy, right? But the thing is, what I noticed about my mother, and what, to this day, I think about when I see all the people doing 10 days. 10 days really should be for people who really need to put food on the table. Right? 10 days shouldn't be giving youths Right, just so that they could spend it on weed and all this thing. That is an unemployment relief, right? And it should really be for people who, like single mothers who have 3-4 children, the mine and so on. Yes, you might look down on them, some people do. Until better can be done. Yes. And that's the point it's something I never said before. Regrettably, I've seen it on social media now, and it's a bit embarrassing. But I always remember that about my mother, working at 10 days in the morning, then to go to Jocelyn Pharmacy to work, and then go to Tranquil to do evening classes in the evening, and then she became a nurse. Right? So, but that's the sort of thing, you need to get the mindset change. You have to get people, the youth particularly in Sangre Grande, to look at the long view and not the short view. I know that is a task, but one of the things I indicated to them and I asked Shari and others, I got a little bank, not a vote bank, but an employment bank, right? So we are building a vote bank now also. But particularly targeting the young people, they get a bank so that we know their names, their numbers, their level of education, what they are skilled in. If they are unskilled, they are unskilled. So that we know once we get in that particularly in Sangre Grande, you can challenge youths to certain places. If you want to know plumbing, why not? All who wants to go do plumbing, let them do internships or apprenticeship in Wasa. Right? Let them, yes, I know there's MIC and all of these things, but a lot of it is unreachable. A lot of it, there's a myriad of problems with what exists now, but you have to find ways to get the youths to basically change the current trajectory if you have to improve the community so that we can go back to what it was before, so that youths from this road could walk into the next road without digging a holes. Alright? Regrettably, my youths are home unsupervised, and I have a long way down the road until I finally get to a place of the road. Alright? It was a pleasure, Wayne. I listened to you and I really enjoyed it. I always enjoy it, but it's very difficult to follow you, meaning follow after you. So, but I always look forward to hearing you. I always learn.
I truly appreciate the accolade, but I'm not the man. This is the man. This is the man. And why I think it is important for him to be here with us, I want to say this to you guys. I am going to hold him accountable. Me too. You know why? This is what they do to us every 5 years. They warm us up, they make me feel comfortable, and when we put them in the office, they're too busy. They're in town. They give me all the right reason why they should ignore us. And I told my brother right here, if I had to tie a rope on your foot, I'm pulling you up, you've got to hear from the people. I strongly believe the only reason I'm doing this with Brother Sturge is because having met the guy and spoke with him, he looked me in my eyes. And I am a highly spiritual fellow. And you heard what he said earlier. He said he didn't get his education because of the PNM, but in spite of. What does that mean? He grew up with a poor mother that had to work 10 days to send him to school. And look where he has become. The man representing our little country area. So you know what? That is enough reason for us to have a mentor in him. He is big and bold enough to confess that to us. That in itself is a spirit of humility. And that is the kind of politicians we need. You see, because the bunch of them we have, they're like pastors, you know. They never do wrong. But how you can identify with my problem if you never get hard, if you never drink some punching, if you wasn't drunk, if you wasn't broke? How can I trust you with my issues? So when you have a brother like this coming out and saying, yes, I was a little embarrassed to see my mother doing 10 days, but no more, because he is not repeating that legacy. He has changed, and that is the example all of us need to have. We have to take a stand to change the way politics work. Not because of the PNM, but in spite of, we're going to make it different for us. So my brother, we have several more steps to make going forward. We look forward to seeing you.
Looking forward to it. Irene. I miss Candice. Yeah. Same here. Bye-bye. I don't know how to take it out. All right.
So, like I said, we have crossed 100.
And lo and behold, I sit in my gallery and I watch this car coming up. Who this people could be? I never see this car coming up in the area here. When that car swing and go by Miss Val there, first person I will see is Gordon Draper come out, Fitzgerald Hines come out, Eddie Hart come out, I think we'll have council come out there. See, what the people them look up on the side up here. But then I will understand anybody that come to oppose the PNM around that time, someone of them would know who the uncle is or who the aunt is or which part this one grew up, but nobody knew Emmanuel Martin because I wasn't from the area. And I noticed when they come there, I think this guy name is Kokoti. Right. Kokoti come out to meet them there. And he turned his back and he was talking to them. And while he talking, I see that's doing that. So just as we doing that, the three of them turn the same way together and they look across. And they make eye contact. So I know they were showing them who the person was that they elected as the party group chairman. And we decided to fight for the seat. So we used to have meetings here and there, but HEC decided they would still come and keep breaking down houses to kill our spirit now. So I remember from Cincinnati every time, the Minister of Housing at the time, which was John Humphrey said, the government have a responsibility to the people to provide roof and shelter, buy house and shelter for the people. And the failure of the government to do that, the onus remains on the citizens to do it for themselves. I say, and if we can't get it for the government, let's do it ourselves. And if HEC come and stop us, I say, well then Mr. Humphrey had a complete settlement here and tell us we can't do it. Yeah. And we decided to send a letter to him. Eventually the letter went out, He couldn't come. He said he sent him his daughter. She couldn't come. He eventually sent somebody from the HEC office. And he came, he said, well, look, we can't give you nothing in writing. But what we could do, take a page and give everybody the name, the address, and what road they're on. Well, that day, see the notebook that everybody started in the register. We had about 2 pages of that for people living in the community here. At the same time, they had polls was going up, but all they do whenever election comes, they come to put up some polls and see what they get current and so on. After it finish, they leave it right there. You see, and those who want electricity do the same thing too. And that was done after that meeting. And that meeting on Saturday. And on the Sunday morning, that is the first time we start seeing big trucks coming up in this area here. With gravel, with sand, with blocks, all kind of thing. That development started here. And it was Sadiq Bash who told me, he said, Emmanuel, all I want you to do for me is focus on the seat. That was the councillor. He said, you give me the seat, and I will give all electricity and develop the area. I said, fine. And I went ahead and do that. And this was a PNM stronghold, I'm telling you. This was a PNM stronghold. We fighting, but we get the seat. And we get the seat, he said, all right. The first week passed, the second week passed, the TNT come up. And when TNT come up, they started organizing the cup, and that was it. So I know they will deliver. We gotta keep them to it. It's not like the PNM. The UNC is a different kettle of fish. Once you see you have an agreement, you sit down and you talk with them, they will deliver. So I know that was it. That's my part I want to contribute. Right? So thanks everyone, and I'll put you over to Ms. Edwards.
Alright, so Mike is open. You what? Oh, can I have it?
Yes.
So much. So the mic is open. And we are calling on Mr. Quincy Luces. This professionally.
Okay, good night everyone. Good night to all the listeners on Facebook. Mr. Sturge was just left, and although there were a lot of talk tonight from our MP, well, coming to be MP, but the main crux of the matter is Northeastern settlement. And just a brief history, being a councillor from 2010 to 13 under the People's Partnership, or COP that was, and being the councillor for this area also. So I know personally firsthand, and I have never done anything or said anything or boasted on anything I did in the backyard in all my years. And anybody tell you that, they damn well lie. Because at the end of the day, being a leader is being able to help the people that put you there. That is the beginning and end of everything. There is not supposed to be anything in between that, from top to bottom. And yes, we rise from the ground, but if the top is not good, how can the ground rise? So as well as we need to swell from the ground, we need the leadership of on top. And that is why I always believe, I still believe, that if you cannot help the people, we are just wasting time. Wasting time. And then also, what I've learned and I've experienced is that when we get into this thing, and we do get into power, everything is forgotten what was spoken months before the election. And that has to stop. It needs to stop, it has to stop. And if it doesn't stop, we'll be continuing down that road, as we are already. We need, as Wayne said, we have been together from the trenches, way back when I was a councillor. He will always come and give you peacock about PNM and PNM. But at the end of the day, no matter what side of the fence you are on, you must always have respect for one another, no matter what PNM, UNC, whatever you are. Because respect brings progress and communication. And I always tell my wife that if you have no respect, you are worse than a broken man. You have nothing. You can be a millionaire and have no respect, you are nothing. So that is it. I don't have much to say because I believe in protocol, Mr. Wayne Alonso. The MP is supposed to speak last and everything before. But at the end, yeah, I understand it's a first time thing, but that is what I believe in. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, and all the listeners, we need this area to be developed. I can say a lot of things that I have done to develop in my time. And especially this road, I can say that for sure. And one thing I must say before I leave, I was always a counselor for everybody. I never turned anybody away from my office. I never rejected anybody. I gave money from my pocket for people who came to get assistance. And then when the counselors used to tell me, but he's a PNM. I say, he's not a PNM, election done. He's a citizen of Trinidad today. And all of us have to live as one if this nation and this community and this country is to prosper. So ladies and gentlemen, everyone who listens here tonight, on live, who are here in the community and who are hearing my voice, it's time for this PNM nonsense to stop. And I'm not saying that in no derogatory way. I am saying it because it is a reality. That is the reality we are facing today. They have done us no good. They have suffered us for 10 years. And for those who don't want to believe that, because as Mr. Alonso and Mr. Wayne has been saying from the beginning, because you're born a PNM, you'll die a PNM no matter what the hell they do. And that needs to stop. So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alonso, Candice, thank you all for this little brief noise. I have been out in the wilderness for 10 years, but I am definitely in this war. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Quincy. You know, always choking my behavior. So go tell them come with me now. Tell them come now. Tell them come. I appreciate the fact that you're here tonight. And as I said before, as Mr. Alonso and I were discussing, this is not about PNM or UNC. This is about we, the community, the people. We have to push back. We have to tell them here what's going on. We fed up at the lies, we fed up at the promises.
That's right.
We fed up. You coming to us and you're feeding us lies years and years and years in and out. And we're so stupid. When we say Trinidadians is stupid people. Now I wanted to cough him down, to be honest. But when you think about it, we're really stupid. Because they're treating us bad. They're insulting us. The man literally insulting us into submission, shutting us down, and we're taking it. But again, as I always say, we are the employers. We employing them. And look at how they're treating us. Now it's our time to push back. Now it's our time to put our foot down and say, what's going on, enough is enough. When they come to your neighborhood, I urge everybody now, you know. Let me see how much people start young go walk off on. But it is alleged he's going to be, you know, taken rowdy place where only ride off into the streets. You understand? And they have a campaign all over again. They want to leave someone high and come down and kiss our behind you. And I want whenever they come, hold them accountable. You don't have to curse them, you don't have to insult them, but ask them questions. Put them on the spot, videotape it. Let me see how much people you go walk off on. Let me show how much of we, the employers, are going to be disrespectful to. You understand, man? It's about time. Now is the time, my brothers and sisters, for us to stand for one another. Now, you see this, what we have going on here? This is not, it surely isn't going to be the last. Trust me. We are going to do this until we get the people to understand that we are their employers. They need us. This is the time they're coming to run roti politics. They're coming to give you this $100 for people in our Jersey. One like me, I want to know. You understand me? Because listen to me, you can't bribe me. You see what I would have seen taking place with my family, and I turned to my PNM government for help. Because who was a die-hard PNM? You could have come and tell me anything about UNC. You could have told me anything about UNC, but when I turned to these people for help, to save my family, to save my generation, my sons. They turned their back. We could have died. Because you know why? The bear poked me, and I poked back the bear, and I was supposed to take the advantage and stay quiet. Take the abuse and stay quiet. I stood up and I said, no more. And all of us have to have that same mentality. No more. Enough is enough. We fed up burying children. We fed up seeing every day's murders, you know. Are you noticing that? And this is all communities all over. And none of the murders are being solved. What are the police doing? What are they doing? Is that they have vehicle? Or they short staff? So now when they go in the station, I don't like the bad talk the police and them, because we need the police to protect ourselves. But when you go to the station, some of them even vex to take down your report. They're vexing that they come. Or they're vexing you're saying you're from a certain area. But they need to protect and serve. We need them, you know. But you see, if they have to make a change, I just always say they have to start from the top. They have to start from the top and come down, because you as a police officer, if you're doing shit, foolishness, you need to go on the block and tell a bad man, hey, so the case, they have no respect for you because you are mentioned that to them. And then they want to come in and they don't try to get the respect from people. It's like they're for or you're against. And they have to stop now. The youth are being damaged. And let me tell you something. Today I was telling a friend of mine, I said, what is my inspiration for doing this? Apart from seeing what would have taken place with my son, I was trying to put myself in all mothers' position. Every one of them. And my belly just boil. So I tell myself the reason for being on the workers' rights platform as the justice advocate co-host is to bring awareness, to give the people a voice, so they can come out and talk and tell somebody what's going on with them, so that somebody could hear them and render assistance. And anyway, check it out. The people crying out for mercy, the people crying out for help, and what the government do? What are they doing to us? They're turning a blind eye and turning their back on us. But they come in this election and they're singing this dirty song. PNM, we love you so. Where's your family? Family what? Family way? Family how? Family nothing. Family nothing. If I am your family and I am in problems, I am in trouble, you're supposed to help me. But if they don't do me that, they leave it. The Prime Minister said who live and who dead. And listen to me, I want them to register in the minds of everybody here tonight, the ones who can't come and hear my voice, and even our viewers on YouTube. I want you to just what Rory said to us, we the people, the die-hard PNM, I want all of them and let it remain in all your mind. If all your Prime Minister could tell all you who live and who dead. That is not somebody that cares about you and I. Why are you fighting for a raising salary and waiting on the luscious, juicy, dripping back pay? Many of us hungry. But he's telling you and I, tighten your belt, tighten your belt, top days on our head. And we don't just fear them, we tighten your belt and you're hungry, your mouth white, you don't out your mouth, and it's dry. And all they still want to say, great is the PNM, while all they try hungry. And if they can't get nothing, they're going to look to link with the drug man to go and put out a robbery. Or your daughter's looking to sell she, but you're some dirty big man watching she at the side and telling she, well, if you want this, you have to give me this. You understand? You think they care about us? They don't care about us. And it's about time every one of us eyes open and see the truth. This is not about politics anymore. This is about the people, because the politicians for them, they put the party before the people, and it's about time it stops. So the people in the neighborhood of Northeastern Settlement, we all have to make a stand and come together as a community and united we will stand. So this is not the first and the last time we're going to hear from us. We are going to come and come again until we drive that force into the minds of the people because they want to keep us in bondage. They want to keep you and I in bondage so that we wouldn't know the truth. So while we suffering and we jumping up on the body say, they're running away with the church and they're living a happy, comfortable life. When you auntie, your little pension, they want to chop it in half. And they want to tell you if you have a certain amount of kakara saved in your account, you mightn't be eligible for pension.
The only difference with me, I was living here, so I didn't get anything.
Well, that is you, thank God for that. But there are people who depend on the pension to survive. And you as a prime minister, you want to stop that? So you tell me, I work so many years and build up my contribution. And I say in my little are you telling me because I have XYZ in my account, I am not eligible for a pension, but I can't tell him he's not eligible to his pension because he said he don't like his monies to sleep out. So why the hell we money have to sleep out? Why the hell we have to live in a community where we're not safe? Why the hell we have to go hungry while they live comfortable? Study that. Think about it. Ask all yourself these questions. Ask all yourself these questions. Look at what's going on. Last election, 10 years these people in power. When last all you see them? When last all you see them? Look, I didn't even know my counselor. I didn't know what's his name? Monroe. I never seen Monroe in my life. I went to ask him a question and look how they treated me. They walk off because they were going, I am nobody. I want all you to put all yourself in my shoes. Because if they could do it to me, they will do it to each and every one of you all. And that has to stop. We are the employers. They have to answer to us. We calling the shots. The voices for change is who calling the shots. And if they don't like it, they have to lie down beside it because we're coming. And we're coming with full force. So in our next meeting, we will pass and we'll announce it again. And if we have to go walking and talking to the people, putting sense in their head, we are willing to do so. Because a change has to come. We're suffering. We're dying. It's we feeling the pain. Look how much murders. Look at how much unsolved murders. How much kidnappings. How much rape. All kind of things taking place. And none of them are being solved. And they lie to us on camera and saying they have the crime situation under control. They have the crime situation under control. And then once side they say that the police are afraid for their life. Where you have police fighting for their life? So if the police fighting for their life, but then bring in the soldiers. And if the soldiers are afraid for their life, but then they will be on that parent party not going to move on and give somebody else another chance. Because are they failing us? Or they're failing us terribly, or they still want to hold on to the mantle. So my brothers and sisters, the journey now starts. So the mics are open. Anybody else want to say something? Don't be shy, now is the time to come out and talk. If you don't want to be on camera, we can pull it off on the camera, but we just want to hear what all you have to say. We want to hear how this government affecting you, how the crime situation affecting you in your neighborhood. Tell me something. Say something. Now is the time for it to come out and talk. Now hear me, for the shame, I hope people are not brave as, me and the camera shy. If you don't want to come out this time, build up the stamina. And we'll do it another time. Right? So as for tonight, a friend, tell a friend that the voices for change has reached in the northeastern settlement area. And we come.
Well, what happened?
You want to talk again? You want to talk about the whole thing?
Make it tonight. Next meeting where we were ready.
Let me hear what I say.
The people want Mr. Wayne Sturge to come back in northeastern settlement. When people cannot make it tonight. Some of them get sick, they have fever, and this thing what's going wrong. I don't know what it is what's going on. Right? And some of them was working. So next meeting, they tell us like 3 weeks in advance or whatever, so we could really tell the people before and motivate them. So we have
but as we said before, right? We are happy that Mr. Wayne Sturge was here tonight. Now they still have the campaigning to do. But here what I want all to listen to, this is not about them. This is about us. So when we form a body, a team, when we form an organization that is not easily broken, Wayne Sturge and all of them are come to me because we call the shots. Or they don't want to be in control of their life. Or they don't want to take back all their children, take back all their family, take back all their happiness. That is what we need to do. Because we put it in these politicians' hands and they disappoint us and leave us for dead. So we cannot allow that to happen no more. So we call in the shots whether they like it or not. It's what we say goes. And I want that to register in the minds and in the hearts of you people here tonight.
We speak in one voice.
As the gentleman said, all of we speak in one voice. And we will moving in one accord. And united, we all have to stand. Because if we don't, we go fall and we go fall back in the same foolishness for another 5 years again. Well, now we drinking can of water and eating grass. You understand? So until next time.
Especially now that they know we supporting the UNC, when we really drink the can of water and eating grass. Because they go starve we. But here what we doing, and I'm glad you raised the question. Right? What we're trying to do, I had a conversation with him before he left, and I asked him kindly that he will do this with us, meaning as we go to different parts of this community, I will inform him on the days that he can come and show his face, and he has agreed to do
this
that.
lady decided, she said in her neighborhood, right, she's the representative, well not really the representative, but the voice, because the people cannot leave from where they is because they're the crime to come here. So she come like the voice. So she come here tonight to ask for.
But we the people ask for water, road.
Go ahead.
So
One to your mic. One to your mic there. You're not getting it. Yeah.
behalf of my committee, behind the new development, we are asking for lights, water, drain, road, and to develop for the youth a community center where we asked it for the youth. And our youth could sing, run, football. They have a lot of activities in the back of us. We willing to ask for that development community. We want to develop youth to do a trade. And have plenty youth who bright, who are education, who is doing nothing and just have to pass this day. They need that development as youth. We don't want to trick with youth generation. They have my little son who can run, play football. They have the little ones who can run, sing, play, all kind of stuff. We ask for parks for them. We want to bring a new development committee for the whole of Sangre Grande and the settlement for the youth and the adults who just want to take a walk and stuff.
Let me ask a question. Get in touch with Candice, tell us the area, and we can organize a similar meeting like this for your community, right? Now, what we want to do here, because this is ground zero for this movement, what we want to do here is the people who have committed to be part of this movement to join us as we move from area to area within this very community. So let's say we go to support the people of that community must see a few of us. We're not into crime, so nobody ain't coming out to hurt me and you. So we ain't have a borderline issue. We could afford to go and join them in their community, right? So take 10 of us from here, go and join and give them support. It means therefore when I get 10 from their community with our 10, 20, and then we go over on the other side to give another section support. I know Coca, which is up Pinton Road, wants to see us. They want to have a cottage meeting there also by Pata. So we will be asking you guys to come and meet us over in Coca so that we can join with that group there to say, hey, we standing with all you because what all you experiencing, we experiencing it too. We empathize with all you. We are brothers and sisters in this fight. And here we are. All right? So that is all we ask. The numbers and names, we will try to form a little, probably a chat group so that as we make those decisions as to where we're going, we can send the information to you all so everybody's on the same page. All right? So if anybody has anything else, please come up now. And if not, we want to thank you all so much for making this sacrifice and spending this extra time with us. We will try to streamline this meeting in such a way that we can keep it within a certain time frame. Because as you see, for the first night, we had a little challenge with our sound system. Our media personnel was setting up. And so we had a little delay, but it's all good now, going forward. All right? So thanks again for coming out. We look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Maybe as early as next week Saturday, we will definitely inform you guys. Okay? Candice? Yeah? I'm sorry, hold on. I think it's middle.
Yes. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gathering here this afternoon. Father God, in the name of Jesus, you came with us and you stayed with us. And in our going, we pray that you take the lead. And I also pray, Father God, for fresh Holy Ghost anointing to fall upon us. So that we can break down barriers, move walls. We can walk through the storm and stand strong. Father God, I pray that you take full control of this movement that we are about to embark on. Father God, the voices to change, let our voices be so loud that when they hear us, they must know that we are coming. Father Lord, we ask you to take full control over this in the mighty name of Jesus. Give us the strength, give us the courage, give us the wisdom, the knowledge, understanding, oh God, to do your will, oh God. Father Lord, it's not by chance you would have joined myself, Mr. Wayne, Mr. Redison, and the others here tonight, Lord. It's by faith and it's by your will, oh God. You give us the voice, you give us the strength to stand firm together and bring out the people so that we can be their voice. We can usher them into safety and comfort, oh God. Let thy will be done in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name, amen. Good session, good session. Very good.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Right. Right. So we are here. We are still here. The meeting just closed. And as we are saying that the many of you that are outside there that have anything to highlight, please do get in contact with us so we could have that dialogue on a community-based level in which you could come in and contact us on the number 333-2176. Contact us so that the issues that you are having in your area, we will be there live and direct to be able to highlight these issues for you on your behalf. Again, my name is Renison Jeffrey. This is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live on the Workers' Rights Network. Goodbye.
And you see the compared to